The rain was relentless, hammering against my windshield as I navigated the serpentine road to Warwick Hall. The estate loomed ahead, its Gothic spires piercing the storm clouds, a monument to my family's legacy and my own buried past. I, Abigail Warwick, hadn't returned in 15 years, not since I fled to law school, desperate to escape my father's iron grip. Thomas Warwick, the steel magnate who built Warwick Industries, was dead. A heart attack, the coroner said, swift and unyielding. I was here to settle his estate, but the weight of his absence pressed against my chest, heavier than the grief I'd carried since my husband, David, died in a car crash 2 years ago. The gates creaked open, and I parked near the grand entrance, my boots sinking into the gravel. The hall was as imposing as I remembered, ivy-clad stone, towering windows, and a presence that whispered of secrets. Laura, my younger sister, stood at the door, her silhouette sharp in a tailored dress. "You're late, Abby," she said, her voice clipped, her smile a thin veneer. Laura had stayed by father's side, climbing the ranks of his company, while I'd built a life far from this place. Her ambition had always burned brighter than mine, but now it felt like a wall between us. Eleanor Price, our housekeeper since I was a child, emerged from the shadows of the foyer, her face etched with sorrow. "Abigail, dear," she said, enveloping me in a hug that smelled of lavender and old books. Her warmth was a lifeline, but her eyes darted to Laura, wary and guarded. Something was wrong, though I couldn't name it yet. The air inside was thick with the scent of polished wood and memories. Mother's laughter, father's stern commands, the fights that drove me away. Dinner was a tense affair in the dining room, its chandelier casting fractured light across the table. Victor Crane, father's business partner, joined us, his presence commanding. He was handsome in a calculated way, dark hair, sharp cheekbones, a suit that screamed wealth. "Abigail, you're the spitting image of your mother," he said, raising a glass, his eyes lingering too long. I forced a smile, my mind flashing to mother's death when I was 10. A car crash, eerily like David's. Victor's charm felt like a mask, and I wondered what lay beneath. Laura steered the conversation to the estate's sale, a plan father had set in motion. "It's worth millions," she said, her fingers tightening around her wine glass. "But there are complications, legal issues, debts." Her hesitation was a crack in her polished facade mirror, and I leaned forward, sensing more. Victor chimed in, smooth as silk. "We'll handle it, Laura. Abigail needn't worry." His dismissal irked me. I wasn't here to be sidelined. After dinner, I slipped into father's study, its walls lined with leather-bound books and the faint scent of his cigars. I needed answers, not platitudes. A locked drawer in his desk caught my eye, its brass handle cold under my fingers. As I fumbled with it, Eleanor appeared, her expression unreadable. "He wanted you to have this," she said, pressing a small key into my palm. My heart raced as I opened the drawer, revealing a letter in father's precise handwriting. "Abigail," it read, "the truth lies in the East Wing. Protect Laura. Forgive me." The words chilled me. What truth? Why Laura? The doorbell shattered my thoughts. James Holt stood on the threshold, rain dripping from his coat, his familiar green eyes piercing me. My former fiancé, now a private investigator, was the last person I expected. "Your father hired me," he said, his voice low. "There's a traitor in Warwick Industries, someone leaking secrets to competitors." I froze. James and I had parted bitterly when I chose David over him. Our love drowned in my need for independence. His presence stirred old wounds, but his words sparked new fears. Laura, passing by, scoffed. "We don't need your conspiracy theories, Holt." Victor, however, seemed rattled, his smile faltering. Later, unable to sleep, I crept to the library where I overheard Laura and Victor arguing in hushed tones. "She can't know about the deal," Victor hissed. "It'll ruin everything." Laura's voice trembled. "If Abigail digs, we're finished." My blood ran cold. What were they hiding? The letter, James's warning, and now this. Warwick Hall was a house of secrets, and I was determined to unravel them. The East Wing was a forgotten relic, its doors locked and corridors shrouded in dust. At dawn, I slipped inside, father's letter clutched in my hand. The air was stale, heavy with the weight of years. I'd always been told the wing was unsafe, closed off after mother's death, but now I wondered if that was a lie. My flashlight swept across faded wallpaper and cobwebbed chandeliers, landing on a bookcase that seemed out of place. I pushed it, heart pounding, and it slid aside, revealing a hidden room. Inside was a trove of secrets: files, photographs, and a locked safe. One photo showed father with a woman I didn't recognize, her arm around him, dated a year after mother's death. They looked intimate, happy, and my stomach twisted. Had father betrayed mother? Another file detailed a merger between Warwick Industries and Crane Enterprises Victor's company. The terms were predatory, giving Victor control if the estate was sold. Was this the deal I'd overheard? And where did Laura fit in? Footsteps echoed, and I spun to find Laura, her face pale with fury. "What are you doing, Abby?" she snapped, snatching the photo from my hand. "You're digging up things that don't concern you." I demanded answers, but she shoved the photo into her pocket and stormed out, leaving me with more questions. Her anger felt personal, rooted in something deeper than the estate. James found me later, his presence both comforting and unnerving. "Victor's dirty," he said, showing me bank records of suspicious transfers from Warwick Industries. "Your father suspected him of embezzlement, maybe worse." I wanted to trust James, but our history, his jealousy, my stubbornness, made me cautious. Still, the records were damning, and I agreed to help him investigate. Marissa Cole, Laura's assistant, approached me in the garden, her eyes darting nervously. "Laura's scared," she whispered. "Victor's pressuring her to sign something. A contract, I think. She won't tell me more." I pressed Marissa, but she backed away, fear silencing her. Eleanor, catching us, warned me about the East Wing. "Some truths destroy families, Abigail," she said, her hands trembling. Her words echoed father's letter, but I couldn't stop now. At a board meeting for Warwick Industries, Victor pushed for an accelerated estate sale, claiming it was father's dying wish. Laura supported him, avoiding my gaze, her fingers twisting her necklace, a habit from childhood when she was nervous. I challenged them, citing the merger's risks, and Victor's smile tightened. "You're out of your depth, Abigail," he said. The board sided with him, but I saw doubt in their eyes. I was onto something. That night, my room was ransacked, the letter gone. I found a single clue: a Crane Enterprises pen, dropped in haste. James suspected Victor, but I wondered if Laura, desperate or coerced, had betrayed me. Sleep eluded me, and I wandered the halls, stopping at Mother's old studio. Her paintings, vibrant and haunting, stirred memories of her warmth. A loose floorboard caught my eye, revealing a journal in her handwriting. "Thomas is hiding something," she wrote. "I fear for us all." My mother had known something, and it had died with her. As I closed the journal, a fire alarm shrieked. Flames roared from the East Wing, devouring the hidden room. The fire chief later called it arson, pointing to chemical traces. Laura accused me of negligence, her voice shrill, but James found evidence linking the accelerant to Victor's company. My trust in Laura wavered, but I saw fear in her eyes, not guilt. Was she a victim or a conspirator? The secrets were closing in, and I was running out of time. The fire's aftermath left me shaken, but I pressed on. The East Wing was a charred ruin, its secrets reduced to ash, but I had the merger file and Mother's journal. James and I met in secret, poring over Victor's financials. We found offshore accounts linked to Laura's name, transfers totaling millions. "She's either complicit or being framed," James said, his voice grim. I couldn't believe Laura would betray father, but her support for Victor gnawed at me. I confronted Laura in the library, the merger file in hand. "What's going on with Victor?" I demanded. Her face crumpled, tears welling. "I didn't know, Abby," she said. "The company was failing, and Victor promised to save it. He said the sale would clear our debts, but he's using me." Her vulnerability disarmed me, but I needed proof. "Help me stop him," I said. She hesitated, then nodded, her hands shaking. Eleanor found me later, her eyes heavy with guilt. There's something you need to know, she said. The woman in the photo, she was your father's mistress. Laura is her daughter, not your mother's. The revelation hit like a tidal wave. Laura was my half sister, her resentment rooted in father's lies. He kept it from you to protect you both, Eleanor said. But it broke Laura. I vowed to honor father's plea to protect her, no matter the cost. Victor cornered me in the garden, his charm replaced by menace. Drop this, Abigail, or I'll expose your father's affair and ruin Laura's life, he said, his voice low. She'll be a pariah. I stood firm, my phone secretly recording his threat. His arrogance was my weapon. Marissa, overhearing, slipped me a flash drive. Victor's emails, she whispered. They prove everything. I thanked her, my resolve hardening. The emails detailed Victor's plan: sell the estate, seize Warwick Industries, and frame Laura for embezzlement. He'd manipulated her desperation, exploiting her loyalty to father. I showed Laura the evidence, and her anger turned to determination. I trusted him, she said, her voice breaking. Let's end this. But Laura's loyalty wavered. Victor dangled a promotion, promising to clear her name if she stayed silent. At a gala for Warwick Industries, I took a risk, playing the recording of Victor's threat to the board. Gasps filled the room as his facade crumbled. He fled, but not before grabbing Laura, hissing, "You'll pay for this." James tackled him, but Victor escaped into the night. James tracked Victor to a warehouse where we found ledgers confirming his embezzlement. Laura, shaken but resolute, joined us, her courage surprising me. I was wrong, she said. You're my sister, Abby. I choose you. Her words healed a wound I hadn't named. We had the evidence, but Victor was still out there, a threat we couldn't ignore. Victor's escape lit a fire under us. I rallied Laura, James, and Marissa, determined to end his reign. We handed the emails and ledgers to the authorities, who traced Victor to a private airstrip. He was arrested trying to flee, his empire crumbling. The board ousted him, and Warwick Industries was safe, but the personal cost lingered. Laura and I sat in Mother's studio, the journal between us. I hated you for leaving, she said, tears falling. But you came back for me. I hugged her, our bond stronger for the truth. Laura was my sister, half or not, and we'd face the future together. Eleanor, exhausted by decades of secrets, retired, leaving us her blessing. You're the heart of this family, she said. James and I faced our past, the ghost of our love lingering. I never stopped caring, he said, his voice soft. I cared too, but David's memory held me back. We chose friendship, a quiet promise to stay in each other's lives. Marissa, freed from Victor's shadow, took a job at Warwick Industries, her loyalty rewarded. I took the helm of Warwick Industries, steering it toward ethical practices. Laura launched a charity in father's name, finding purpose in his legacy. The estate, once a symbol of division, became a community center, its halls filled with laughter and hope. I stood on the balcony, watching children play where secrets once festered. Father's letter had led me here, to truth, to family, to redemption. The scars remained: mother's death, father's lies, Laura's betrayal, but they no longer defined us. Warwick Hall was ours again, a legacy rebuilt on honesty. As I walked its grounds, I felt David's presence, a whisper of approval. I'd fought for my family and I'd won.